Alright everybody, welcome back. Let's get started. So a few things here. So as I already announced, with the midterm coming up, Newton just posted a study guide and some sample questions if you want to take a look. And yeah, you want to probably read the whole post. It kind of explains a little bit more. The sample questions, there are some sample questions. I highly recommend you try it out on your own first, and then like maybe share answers or compare with your friends. Newton will post answers to the sample questions, but he's gonna do it a little bit later, just to give you, you should try it on your own, and then check your answers. That's probably the best way to study for the exam, honestly. So they're there, and you can kind of see it. The reason why we give you sample questions is just so you can see like how questions are asked, and like the format and what we expect. So if anything, if you absolutely have no time at all to study for this test, and you only have like 1 hour left or something, I would just do the sample questions. It's like the best way to study for this exam. Yeah, so that's that. The assignment 7. So as I was preparing today's lecture, we're gonna talk about web storage. I realized the web storage requirement for the to-do list was a little bit, it was a little more than I really want you to do. I don't want to waste your time on this. So I simplified the requirements a little bit, and so it looks a little different. So let me show you what I'm expecting now. So the to-do list is going to be your to-do list, and by the way, all the requirements I updated. You can see it here, and there's like this yellow part that I added, and I crossed out the number 9 here, and I simplified it to number 4 here, like this. So as you can see, there's this I added this drop down here, and notice how you can pick any city you'd like. Los Angeles can still be one of them. So do any city you'd like, and the moment I change it to New York, let's say, notice that immediately the temperature changes. So you're gonna have to do an API call every time the drop down changes. And on top of that, notice how, okay, so I'm on Austin right now, right? I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to open it back up. And it still remembers Austin. So it remembers the last city I just chose. So we're going to be talking about this, how we can store some data, even though I close the browser and I come back to it. Even if I quit the whole thing, if I come back to it, it's going to remember that I'm in Austin. And so we're going to be talking about that specifically today, how to like save information on the browser, on the client side, not using like a database. So we're going to be talking about that today. So that's part of I changed your web storage requirement a little bit. I think this simplified it a lot more. So this is what you're going to be working on due on Sunday. All right, so I'm going to finish up jQuery. I got to show you some like the animation effects. There's a few little things I want to show you more with jQuery, more minor things. And then we're going to start talking about web storage. So if you can go ahead and click on today's lecture notes. And let's dive right into the lecture code. We're just going to finish off the jQuery portion. Lecture 12. Lecture 12. And then let's open up in lecture 12. Let's open up lecture 12. Let's open up the jQuery one first, and we'll finish this up. Let's open this in my browser. Then I'm going to open up the console as well, and let's finish this. Let's go here. Error. Oh, I didn't give you the style file. So guys, 1 second. Let me make sure I give you the right stuff here. Also, if you have what's faster probably is if you have your lecture 11 from Monday, go ahead and just copy over that style file into lecture 12. I'll also put it in the Dropbox folder here. All right, back to this. So yeah, if you refresh the Dropbox file, you should see the style.css. If not, again, I didn't do anything. I didn't change anything with the CSS file. So go grab last week's or the Monday style.css from lecture 11, and then just paste it into your lecture 12. And that's it. All right, let's see here. Okay, there we go. Now we have some CSS. Alrighty, so we did I introduced you to jQuery, kind of the differences between, we looked at the differences between using vanilla JavaScript as opposed to jQuery here. Alright, let's continue on here. So we're going to scroll down here. As you can see, this is so we played around with the color boxes, how depending on what I click on, right, yellow, gray, so on and so forth, depending on what I click on, we talked about this, how by simply grabbing color box like this, I am able to by doing something like this, I'm able to grab my color box, all 6 of them, and I could add a click event on them. Notice I could add a click event on them, and then depending on what I click on, I could apply some CSS to the background, the body, and using background color, I'm able to add it everywhere here. By the way, I forgot to mention that when you're working with jQuery, for the CSS properties, you know how with JavaScript with vanilla JavaScript we have to use camel case, but actually with jQuery you can actually use the same the dashes, like this is like the same syntax as CSS, right? So you can actually do that. That would still work. So yeah, but you can go either way, camel case or the regular CSS syntax. jQuery takes care of that for you, so it's nice. All right. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going to refresh here. All right, let's talk about this traversal thing and these accordions, how we can hide and show things. And what's really neat about jQuery as well is that it's going to give you some animation. It also comes built in with some animation effects. So we're going to, I want to show you that as well. By the way, this is attendance, is it? Okay. 16666 for your attendance on Blackboard. All right, so let's work with these accordions here. Let's go and scroll down here. Accordion. And to remind ourselves, let's take a look at what that section was. There's a lot of stuff going on here. We have the DOM section div, and in this div ID DOM section, we have H2, H3. H3 are these titles of each accordions. So when I click on the H3, I want all this text below it to disappear, which is the P tag here, right? The P tag. So H3 and P tag are siblings. So when I click on the H3 tag, I want to grab its sibling and hide it. And if you recall, with vanilla JavaScript, we used like next element sibling, and then there was a difference between next element versus, element versus element sibling, so on and so forth. So with jQuery, jQuery also has a way you can traverse and grab siblings. Let's try that out. So first of all, I'm going to go grab, as usual, I should go grab the H3s. So whenever I click on the H3, I want the sibling to disappear. So let's go grab those. So same idea, like we can use multiple compound selectors in jQuery. I can do DOM section H3. So grab all the H3 tags, grab all these H3 tags, all of these here, H3 tags, within the div with the ID, with the element ID. DOM section. All right, so when I click on those, let's add a click event on here. When I click on this, let's run a function. jQuery methods to get. Okay, so on and so forth. So with jQuery, as usual, jQuery loves using methods. Even when I want to get the sibling, the paragraph, there is something called, so we're going to go ahead and do this because this is whatever I just clicked on. The H3 is whatever I just clicked on. There are methods for these. There's a method called next, previous, children, their child. There's a lot of different methods that allow you to go grab its siblings or children. Next is one of them. Next is like go get its, so let me write a note here. Next, go get its next sibling. Okay. And then we're gonna keep adding to this. Okay, so we're gonna go grab the next sibling, which is paragraph, write that one. And then so we typically did like there's a few different methods we can use to show and hide. Let's hide this actually. Let's hide this first. Okay. If I do hide, so jQuery has a few methods that do animation for, or like that do certain things for us. One of them is hide and show. So if I do hide like that, just like that, now when I click on it, it's going to hide it. And notice how automatically there's like an inline style that just got applied here. It says display none. So let's try that one more time. If I click on the H3, right? If I click on the H3, it's going to grab my next element, my next sibling, my sibling P, and it's going to add the style to it, display none. All right, so let's refresh, click on it, display none. Same thing here, click on this one, oh, hide that one, oh, hide that one. Cool. That was a lot easier than the whole debacle we did, or the whole thing we did with vanilla JavaScript, right? But even better, it gets even better than this. I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. Even better than this, let's add some animation effects in it. Has animation effects. Another reason why people just like to use jQuery is because of these animation effects. I'm going to do next, there's another one called slide up. Slide up, camel case like that. And it does what it sounds like. It's going to slide up my next sibling. So if I refresh, if I click on my H3, it slides up. Take a look at that. Isn't that neat? Ooh. Right. It just comes with animation. I don't have to do anything else. Another reason why people love to use jQuery. And you can read more in the documentation what slide up does. But the first parameter actually is the how long this animation is. So it takes milliseconds. So if I do 1,000 milliseconds, that's 1 second. If I do like 5,000, it means 5 milliseconds. So let's try like 5,000. If I pass in 5,000, the first argument, it's going to take 5 seconds. Well, who's going to wait that long, right? But just to give you an idea, that first 5 seconds. There we go. Right? So this first parameter is how long the animation is. One interesting thing though I'll show you with animation, this is pretty important. Let's do something like this, like console.log, like done sliding or something. So going back to the way we kind of learn how to program or how to code, we're always being told that everything goes from top to bottom, everything is run sequentially, right? So you would think like, okay, after it's finished sliding up, then we're going to see my console log message, right? So let's go ahead and save this and refresh. I have my console open. I have a bunch of stuff here, right? I'm going to click on my H3. Oh, hey, what the heck? Notice how it already came up, done sliding. All right. So kind of the same idea here with the animation methods, at least in jQuery, is once you trigger the slide, it just keeps going. It doesn't actually wait for the animation to complete. We just keep going, which can be kind of problematic. Sometimes that's fine. Like sometimes you want the code to continue running and then let the animation finish later. However, there are times when you're like, no, I want it to specifically, there's some code that should run only, and if only the slide up is done. So if you want to if you want to specify some code that runs after the animation is over, there's a second parameter for this second argument for a slide up method, it's gonna be another, we can pass in another anonymous function. And then if I put this console log here, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, actually I should do another console log here, la 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 or something. Okay. Maybe while you're copying this down, I'll also write some notes as well. First parameter is length of animation in milliseconds. Second param is the function that gets called after the animation is complete. It's very important when you're working with animation methods like slide up. Okay, so let's try this out. I'm gonna refresh. So let's take a look at my console here. All right, take a look at my console here. So what it's gonna do is we're gonna slide up for 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds, I should see console log done sliding. All right, and then we're gonna see la 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 right away. So let's try this out. Click on my H3. Okay, I see la 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 right away, and then after 5 seconds, then we see, there we go, done sliding. Makes sense. All right, so I'm showing you this because there's a lot of use cases for this. Like you want something to happen after the animation is done. You're going to run into this even in your assignment as well. When it's done fading out, then you want to remove the element or something like that. So you're going to be using some of these methods. So there's a lot of other, and then there's a lot of different animation methods here. Well, not a lot, but there's a few. Here's another useful one. Slide toggle. So as you would imagine, there's slide up and then slide down, right? There's both of those. There's also slide toggle, which is great. So it's just gonna toggle for us. I don't have to write if-else statements to check if we don't have to check the state of the accordion. Is it already up or is it down? I simply can use slide toggle, and it's gonna. Oh man. Okay, let me make this a little faster. 100. There we go. Okay, so now I don't have to worry about writing if-else statements. The slide toggle, so animation methods have all these toggle effects on it, so it just does it for you. It's great. And notice even 1 second is actually really slow. A lot of the animation effects you see on the web, they're definitely, like 1 second is too slow. A lot of them are around the half a second, or even around 500 milliseconds, or even less than that sometimes. Yeah, even half a second is a little slow in my opinion. Maybe even like 300 milliseconds. Yeah, that's a little bit snappier, right? Any questions about that animation? Yeah.
There's like a snap at the end, probably because of padding. That's when it like disappears. Is there anything in jQuery to like remove that and it'll smooth it?
There's like a snap at the end.
Snap at the end.
Oh, it kind of like jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's causing that, huh?
It might be because the padding is only changing the height, but then the padding disappears all at once. Or sorry, not padding.
And then there's like, oh, I see. There's like a margin. They're both kind of sharing some margin here. Maybe if I got rid of like, did that help? Right? Yeah, I think it's because yeah, good catch. So the H3 that comes afterwards. So we have the H3 here, P, and then H3. So notice how H3 has margin top, that orange thing, and then P has also margin bottom, and they actually both kind of share this margin space together. So if when I got rid of the second H3's margin, so like now H3's margin is not being affected at all. It's only the paragraph only has a margin. So I guess that so my H3's margin top doesn't affect the paragraph. So good catch. I didn't even notice that. Any other questions about a slide, for example? And there's also, if you're wondering, there's also the most common ones used are slide, and there's also fade as well. Like it's just fade toggle, just like that, just to fade. Fade in, fade out, or fade toggle, just like this. And then this will be the, oh, that's kind of weird, but yeah, it's a fade. And it fades, and it like kind of, it looks like it's removing the whole thing because of display now, but it does fade. So I'll put the in my notes here. E.g. Slide up, slide up. There's slide down. There's slide toggle. There's fade in, fade out, fade toggle, and then there's like show, hide. I forget what the toggle method for show hide is. I think it's show, but something like that. Yeah. So there's a number. I think these are the. There's a few. There's actually a couple more, I think, but these are the most commonly used ones in jQuery. And they all follow the same convention here, where the first parameter is the length of the animation, and then the second parameter is the like we call these like callback functions, but so like this, it's the function that gets run after the animation is complete. This code gets run after the animation is complete. Cool. Any questions about that? All right. Let's do one more thing here with jQuery. Oh, this is not jQuery specific. It's actually JavaScript in general. Let's look at this behavior here. It's kind of on the bottom. Let's take a look at this. There's like this. Let's take a look at this here. There's a in this div with the ID event propagation here. We have a blue box. We have a div called ID with the ID blue box, and in the blue box I have a button, like just a generic button. It says "Don't touch me." All right. So the blue box is a parent, and its child is a button. So let's say I want to add an event on the blue box, on the parent blue box. Okay, clicking on blue box will change the BG color, the body BG color. Right. So with jQuery, or even so JavaScript, jQuery, whatever. When I click on the blue box, we're going to change this to let's just change my background color to like beige or yellow or something very obvious. Okay, so that makes sense. If I click on the blue box, it's gonna just turn everything to yellow. Okay, makes sense, right? Okay. Pretty straightforward. When I click on the blue box, it's gonna change my browser background color to yellow. All right, no big. Okay, we're going to add another event. Clicking on the button will show an alert message. Okay, so again, blue box, and then button is a child of my blue box. Button is a child of my blue box. All right, so if I click on it, when I click on my blue box, let's just like show an alert message. I said, "Don't touch me." So just some simple events. Let's take a look at this. All right, again, I'm going to emphasize one more time. Blue box is a parent of my button. And I've added two different events for the parent versus the child. When I click on the blue box, the background color is going to change. When I click on the button, I'm going to get shown an alert message. So that kind of makes sense. If I click on the blue box, background color changes. That's great. Refresh. I'm going to click on my button. I'm going to get an alert. Perfect. And then let's see what happens. If I click OK, again, I'm just clicking OK, nothing else. My background also freaking changes to yellow. What the heck? What? One more time if you missed it. Okay, so if I click on just the blue box, of course it's going to turn yellow because I told it to turn yellow. I'm going to refresh. But if I click on the button, just the button, in my button, line 180, it just says show the alert box. That's all it's set to do. If I click on the button, okay, I'm just clicking OK, nothing else. My background freaking changes too. What the heck? All right, so this is not jQuery specific. This is overall. It happens with JavaScript. Like it's a JavaScript thing, event handling thing. Something to watch out for because so this is something like I don't know. People don't teach for some reason, but this is a very common issue. Whenever you have parent and children stuff here going on, okay, the rule is we call this phenomenon event bubbling or event propagation. Anytime a child event gets triggered, it also triggers the parent's event. Okay, so when I clicked on the button, it triggered the button event, of course, right? It should make that happen. But it also went up. It bubbles up. That's or propagates up to the parent. It checks its parent and goes, "Hey, parent has an event handler too. We're gonna trigger this too." So we haven't seen this really happen because we haven't done a lot of child, like we just kind of put events on whatever the heck we wanted. But in this case, I'm adding an event on my child as well as an event on my parent. So when I trigger the event on my child, the parent events also get triggered. Again, we call this phenomenon event propagation, aka event bubbling. So let me write some notes here. Okay. Event propagation, aka event bubbling. Anytime a child's elements event is triggered, its parent element event is also triggered. It's kind of annoying if you think about it. Like, why would so whatever the child does affects the parent. And there are cases when this is useful, and there are also cases when this is extremely unuseful and unhelpful, like my case here. So to prevent this, luckily we have another method for this. This is a JavaScript method. You can do here you can stop event propagation. Right, we're going to pass in the event object just like we did before. So remember we had like prevent default. Okay, it's a little bit different from that. Prevent default just means prevent the default behavior. This is going to be called stop propagation. Okay, so aka don't trigger the parent's event. So let's try this out. If I refresh, when I refresh and I click on, now if I click on the button, don't touch me, I get the alert. And that's it. No more body background color changing. Yeah.
Does it matter that they're both the same, click event handler? Like if your parent was something else, like a hover or a mouse or something like that, would it still trigger?
Like a mouse enter or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. Oh, I can't do it. No. But if I do, oh, it's kind of weird. I can't. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. So I guess, so it's only matters if it's the same event. Yeah. So you might run into this in your assignment as well, because when you're creating to-do list items, you're gonna have a parent div, and then you have children's boxes where you check the when you're done with the to-do item. When you're done with the to-do item, you have to click check the box. The box lives inside your bigger to-do item, so you might run into something like this. Yeah. Any questions about that? It is a weird behavior that you don't care about until it happens, and it gets just kind of frustrating. But the magic method here is thought propagation. By the way, I've been writing a lot of anonymous functions like this, right? But if you like to clean up your code, if you like to write functions, especially when you have repetitive code, like I don't talk about functions that much in this class because I kind of assume you know what a function is. But I do want to like remind you, just a friendly reminder, that these are all anonymous functions, meaning I could like technically extract these out, right? Like I could have like create a function up here, like called like change BG color or something, and then I could have taken out like this code. I can put it in here, right? And then the second parameter I can do just like change BG color. This is totally valid. Like you don't have to, but if you do find yourself repeating a lot of code and you want to extract some stuff out to a different function, this is how you do it. And so this is just the second parameter is the name of the function. Okay. I'm telling you this because in the to-do list assignment, you might find you're gonna do some things over and over again. You might find it. Again, I don't require you to because I kind of just assume you already know what functions are since you already took 1 or 2 programming classes before this. But just a friendly reminder, if you do like to keep your code a little bit cleaner and have functions and make it more modular, you can still do stuff like that. I will comment this. Yeah, let's go ahead and save this. Okay. Any questions about that? All right, that's jQuery for us. Let's talk about something new called web storage. Let's open up storage.html. So we're going to kind of deviate away from jQuery. We're going to go back to vanilla JavaScript for a little bit. Let's open this up. I ran out of time to complete my slides for you, so there's no slides on this topic, but I hope it's straightforward. So far everything we've done, everything we've created ever, the moment I close my browser, the moment I refresh, everything just goes away. And that's normal because this is all browser. This is all client side. We're not storing anything yet to like a database. We're not really saving stuff yet. We're not another fancy way to say it is we're not persisting any kind of data right now. Traditionally, the only way you could persist data or save any data or store any data is that's when you need a backend for. You need your server for. The server will have access to a database, and you'll store the information in the database. So that's the most common way to do stuff. Anytime you want to save anything, like your to-do list, if you want to save your to-do list, you need to the backend needs to handle it. And we're in a couple weeks after the midterm, we're going to start talking about databases and how all that works. However, in the more recent years, so as you can imagine, every time I have to save something, then that means my backend needs to I got to talk to the server. I need to make a request. Server needs to do stuff, which can get kind of, again, it's all about performance when it comes to web dev. It can get kind of slow. So instead, there's luckily, or in the recent years, now you can store stuff on your browser. The client side has some space for storage. It doesn't have a lot of space for it. It's very limited. But when you want to just save some very quick information, Using client-side storage, using your browser storage, is actually pretty useful. These days, you've seen a lot of like websites try to do like dark mode versus light mode. The way they're storing that information a lot of times is using client-side storage, web storage. So let's try this out. This is something that you're gonna, yeah. Any information. It could be a string and. Oh yeah, like so if the user chose dark mode, they would save literally a string called dark or something. Yeah, like so that they know that every time you load the page, you load the dark. Yeah. So I'll show you this. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do a variation of that here. So yeah. So on the client side, you can store stuff, and I'll show you how we can access that information. Actually, if you open up the inspect tool, I'm gonna move this down here. You can see this, and one of the tools here is application. All right, application. Oh, let me go ahead and erase that. So if I click on application, let me make this a little bigger here. Application. Take a look on the side here. On application, you have the storage area, local storage, session storage, and others, and cookies. We've already talked about, or not talked about cookies, but you probably heard about cookies before. We'll talk about cookies when we go to server side. But yeah, there's these areas where you can actually see what's stored on the client side. And all this information gets stored on your browser, which ultimately it's taking up space on your computer, though. Just FYI. So we can save information here through local storage or session storage. They both act very similarly, and we could save strings, we could save numbers, we could save arrays, we can save almost any data type. Okay. It's the class or? Oh, it's actually real. That's cool. I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, so yeah, so there's two types of storage: local storage and session storage. The big difference is local storage is literally like local, meaning it can technically stay on forever. So if you close your browser, if you quit your browser, quit Chrome, it'll be gone. It'll still stay. Versus session storage is a little bit more limited time. There's like an expiration date, and also when I close my browser or when I close a session, like a tab, after I'm done browsing something, if I close the tab or close the browser, session storage gets destroyed. So this is a lot more temporary than a local storage. Okay. All right, so let's try this out. Let's try to add some stuff into my local storage. So for example, let's just kind of. What, unions have to go? Who are they protesting? Can you see what they're protesting?
This is SEIU.
Oh. No. I didn't get the memo though. Ready to go out there and protest? Some kind of union thing. I think.
SEIU. I think maybe the school has hired a 25 years experience.
Oh. Yeah, there's a lot of this. Yeah, I see. I kind of understand. There's a lot of issues with, yeah, it's like there's so many requirements for you to be a faculty member. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like, well, if you can teach, why just let them teach? And then, huh? Oh yeah, at USC, yeah. And then people are very unhappy about like salary and titles at USC. A lot of faculty are, yeah. And yeah, it's yeah. You would think like, oh, USC's tuition is getting higher, but faculty do not get paid anywhere near that. Yeah, so I understand. I have sympathy for them. Anyway, Yeah, and there's like a difference between teaching faculty versus tenured faculty. Tenured faculty can't teach, but they get paid the highest. They get all the glory, right? They can work here forever. And then, so when they want to fire people, the first people to go are teaching faculty who actually can teach. And then, so it's very weird. Like, oh, we want to promote teaching excellence, and then we fire all the teaching faculty. Like, it is kind of, it's a little messed up, but. Anyway, back to, what are we talking about? Storage. Back to storage. What are we doing here? All right, let's talk about storage here. Yeah, so storage is pretty easy to work with. I love working with storage here. The harder part with storage is like figuring out what you want to add to the storage and what you want to like, or how you want to kind of like how you want to design what you're gonna store and what you want to pull out. But to store something is pretty straightforward. Let's just go down here, go back all the way down here to storage.html, and then let's scroll to my script tag here, and okay, and I'm just gonna create a variable. Okay, so this is what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to get a name. The user's gonna type some kind of name. The user's gonna choose some kind of background color, right? And we're gonna save this information. We're gonna save it in my local storage so that every time the user comes back to my web page, I'm gonna have their name displayed here or something like that, and then I'm gonna change the background color to whatever they chose. So this is like my short minified version of like dark mode, light mode, right? This is white mode. This is pink mode. This is sky blue mode. Okay. So let's do that. So every time the user clicks save, I'm gonna go ahead and save this information. So let's grab the form. This is a form there's a form here. What do I call it? Like form. Okay, there's a form. Yep, great, easy. All right, we're going back to our plain JavaScript real quick, where I can't like type. And we're gonna go grab my form. And then when I submit my form, right? All the stuff we've done before. When I submit my form, I'm gonna run a function. And let me remove my indentation here. When I submit my form, all right, let's go grab whatever the user just gave me. Where is it? Oh, we gotta do event. We gotta prevent the default first. Let's do event.prevent. All right, and then let's go ahead and do let name input. Let's go ahead and save the name. All right, I'm just gonna tell you the IDs already. The name.value. So we're going to go save the name. The name input is going to be whatever they put in. And then let's do the BG input as, let's go grab it as well. All right, so we're going to grab whatever the user typed in. And then let's go ahead and store these, So when it comes to local storage, everything, the only data type it stores is a string. Okay, so you can store as many strings as you want. So right now it's perfect. Actually, right now it's not a problem because my name is going to be a string. My background color, whatever they pick, is a string too. So that's no problem. All right, let's go ahead and store this. We're going to literally call object the local storage object just like that. Local storage with a capital S, just like that. And then we're going to say set item. Okay, we're going to set the item. And then the way that local storage works is you want to have it's all key value pairs. You're gonna have the key name. So let's call this like name, for example, comma, and then the second parameter is gonna be the actual value you want to save. So you can make up your own key value here. Right? Let's go ahead and do this here. Set item. First param is the key. Second param is the value, right? You can make it up, right? So all these stuff, they're arbitrary. You can make it up. You can call it name. You can call it names. You can call it like blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. Something to identify what you're trying to store. All right, let's do, and then if I want to store another one, we're gonna do the same thing here. Set item. I'm gonna go and store maybe my background color, and I'll do BG input. Pretty straightforward. All right, let's go and save this. Let's try this out. I'm gonna open up my application again right over here. We have local storage. Awesome. Let's go and refresh. Okay, I'm gonna go and save Tommy as my name. Background color, I'll do pink and go and save it. And then of course I get a error 63. Uh-oh, what am I doing? Storage. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Okay, applications. Right. And notice how it knows right now. It's actually, this is domain specific. So it's gonna store it in. I'm opening in my local file. So if I want to do like Tommy, let's go and do Tommy here, and then pink. Let's go and save it. Ah, take a look at this. We just got we just got 2 key value pairs saved. First one is name Tommy. The second one is BG color pink. If I change this to sky blue and I click save again, same idea. My key value gets saved as name is Tommy. And then background color is sky blue. If I change it to like a different name, notice how every time I save, the set item saves the information every time. Yeah, they should be unique. Yeah. And everything is a string, by the way. Even the keys are a string, the values are string, and they can only be strings. They can't be anything else. They can't be like a number. I mean, you could have a number in a string. It still needs to be a string data type. Cool. Okay, so this is how we can save stuff. And no matter how much time I refresh, even if I close the tab and come back, and if I come back to the tab again, and I look at that, we're gonna see we're gonna see it in my local storage. And this takes up space in the browser, ultimately the person's computer. All right, cool. So that's cool. Notice how it's saved. That's awesome. But now I gotta actually apply this to my, I gotta actually apply it here, right? I want to show the name up here. I want to show all this stuff here. So let's do that. So every time I click submit, I'm gonna do a couple things. The first thing is, okay, let's go ahead and change the name displayed, and I'm gonna also change the background color. Okay, all right, so depending on what they gave me, I wanna change that. So the first things first, let us go ahead and let's do document query selector. I'm gonna change the name. So name display, by the way, I have it already here for you. I have a span tag right here that wraps around stranger. So I'm gonna replace stranger. Instead of saying welcome stranger, it's going to say welcome Tommy or welcome whatever the user wrote in here. So I'm going to just replace this, the text inside my name display right over here. All right. Okay. Name display dot inner HTML. What am I doing? Inner HTML. We're going to change it to whatever they just gave me. Or you know what? We should be getting it to not just what the user inputted. Let's go ahead and what user inputted. Get the name from local storage. Okay, so let's go and get that actually. Let's get let's save name equals local storage dot get. So the other one, to get items in my storage, there's a method called get item. That's pretty easy. And we grab it by the key. So the key name. Okay, let's go get the save BG color. Same idea, local storage dot get item. And let's go grab my BG color here. There we go. Okay, so now once we've grabbed these, whatever that was saved in here, now I can set my inner HTML to save name. I can now change my background color as well. Document query selector. Okay, name display. My background is going to my body. I'm going to go and change my body. Let's just keep it style background color for now. Background color equals saved BG color. So this is probably more accurate. So right now I put everything under on submit, okay, for now, because okay. So let's go ahead and try this out. If I let's go and refresh this. Refresh. Okay. I'm gonna put Tommy. I'm gonna choose pink. Okay. I'll click save. Whoa. There we go. If I change this to sky blue, awesome. So my BG color is now sky blue. And it's all. I've also changed the actual background color to sky blue. If I change Tommy to Joe or something, however, there's an issue with this, right? If I refresh right now, the styles don't actually get applied. I mean, my local storage actually says the right values, but when I refresh, this doesn't actually happen until I actually, until this, my styles aren't changing until I submit the form, right? So I need to have like an initial run as well. So we need to have like some kind of initial, some initial code. So that every time the user comes to the page initially, we need to set a bunch of styles and set the style and the name. And then also every time when I submit this form, also I want to change it as well, right? So there's like twice I need to do this. So it sounds like I need to do this piece of code, the display and all that, or I need to get all of this stuff. I need to do this multiple times. So this is when great time to create a function about this. I'm going to create a function here to keep my life easier. I call it like set styles or something. Okay, set styles. And I'm going to just copy all of that. No, not all of that. Yeah, actually I am going to call that and I just put it in here. Oh, no, not all of it. I need to leave the store alone. I need to just change the, there you go. I still want to, every time they do submit my form, I'm going to save the information. There we go. We have that. All right, so styles. Okay, and then in here, I'll just go ahead and call that function. Set styles. Sense. Okay, and also this also means that I need to also, so this is a function declaration, right? So at the very beginning, upon first load, need to grab the saved info from local storage and apply the styles. So upon first load, I'm going to just call set styles. So this is just a function declaration, so it's just up there. It's not really doing anything much. But here, upon first load, I'm going to call set styles. It's going to grab all my items, grab all the name and the color. Okay. And then every time I click submit, click the save button, I'm also going to set the styles again. Let's try this out. Oh, if I refresh, I didn't really save anything. Let's do Tommy again. I'm going to make it like sky blue. Okay, cool. Sky blue. I'm going to refresh. Cool. Awesome. So every time I refresh, I still have Tommy here and sky blue here. One last thing I want to probably add just for good user experience is I probably want to pre-fill the name and the background drop down as well. Right? So let's go ahead and pre-fill those as well. Let's do the same thing in set styles. last thing here, pre-fill the name input and pre-select the BG color. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Now, no matter what I change, whether it's light green and then save it, if I refresh, every time I come back, every time I refresh, everything looks like it's saved. So we're doing two things, right? We're actually saving these values as well as we're showing it. We're like actually showing those saved values on my browser. And we're showing it on these drop downs and on these values as well. So yeah, when you're working with storage, there's two things you got to make sure you're setting you're saving these items correctly in my local storage, and you got to make sure you got to make sure that not only are now that you're saving these values, you got to actually show it, you got to apply it as well. Right? So there's two things you got to do here. Any questions about that? Okay, here's another. Oh yeah, go ahead. Exactly, yeah. I was just about to get that. Great. Thinking like a programmer. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cases here. Right? We've got to cover all of our edge cases. What if the user visited our website for the very first time? So there's nothing stored ever, right? Because they visit for the first time. So if I refresh right now, it's right, weird stuff just kind of happened because there's yeah, right. We gotta also, the last case we need to handle is what if there's no local storage set at all. Here's one thing you can do kind of up here. Let's continue our first load stuff here. You could actually do a quick check here, like if you could do not, I guess, either one. If you can do like go try to get my item. Okay. This is like a quick way you can do this. If it's not there, then so on and so forth. Or if you just actually do simply just like this, if local storage.get item, if something is there, if something exists, it'll return true, right? And then you can say like only if something's there, then go ahead and set your styles. Add the set styles as grabs all my saved values. Otherwise, I don't care. Otherwise, just load the default, the HTML. So don't care. Otherwise, ignore the, ignore it. If something is set in. Okay, there you go. So by default, this is my default HTML, the white, and it says welcome stranger. So by default, just load that. And then only if there is a local storage set get item name, the name key is set, then we run the set styles. So now if I continue here, like Joe or something again, there we go. If I refresh it, multiple cases to cover. Any questions about that? So, as you can see, local storage is to store very simple values, so just strings, really, typically. Local storage is very useful when you just want to quickly get some values. Obviously, if you want to store a bunch of information about a user, maybe you don't put it in the local storage. Maybe you want to put it in a database. Also, treat local storage always as temporarily. Don't always depend on it because just like I showed you, anybody can easily delete your local storage. So this is not something you want to depend on always. This is, again, for very simple stuff. The more, like you wouldn't store passwords here, for example, right? Or anything like that, because people can just delete it, right? This is more for people use it a lot for like simple settings. So on your web app, let's say you're adding some settings like the dark mode versus light mode. This is how you would kind of store it. Maybe just the username, just so you could quickly grab the username after they log in. Maybe you want to store like very basic, maybe their age, like their city, just extremely simple, basic information. Another practice that's very common that I see a lot too is again, local storage is very temporary. So temporarily we store all this information in local storage, but at some point, depending on where you want to do it, at some point, a lot of times we actually grab all the local storage variables and we store it in the database anyways, so that we always have a backup of what the user was kind of doing. Because anything the client does, the server has no idea, so we actually can't track what they're saving in the information in their browser. So if I want to get that information eventually, like all local storage gets sent to here. Another example that we did local storage with was like for when we were creating one of the projects I worked on was we were creating like a little basic quiz game, and so the quiz was 5 questions, and every time the user saved their answer, we would save it in local storage temporarily, and then after the 5 questions are done, when they're completely done with the questions, that's when we would grab all the answers they saved in local storage, send it to the database, it's the server. The server does all the calculation, compares high scores with all the other high score players, and then it will return back when you come back to the results screen. They will show the database results. They will show high scores and all that. So it's like another use case. Again, very temporary usage. So, and another thing is, even though this is storing strings only, you could also, let's think about it. Remember JSON strings and how you can parse strings and stuff like that. So if you do need to save a lot of data, you can store strings in JSON format, and you can convert it later. So for example, this is our last example, fruits. Let's say I want to store a little bit more information, not just simple information like the name and background color, but what if I want to store a list of something, an array? Can I store an array somehow? Like I want to see what fruits the user, like how many fruits they chose or something, or how many questions they got right, like some kind of like a list of stuff. We can do that, but kind of in an interesting way. We can actually save, like, let's say let's just do it right over here, right after my, just do a quick example. Can save arrays in local storage. I say kind of, because not really. Let's say I have an array of fruits, right? I have just apple, orange, like kiwi, I don't know, mango, something like that. Let's say I want to save this array temporarily into my local storage. We can convert array into a JSON formatted string by using something like this. I'm going to do fruit string JSON the method is stringify, kind of interesting name, literally make it into a string. We're going to stringify my fruit array into a nice string. Right, and we can log this out if you want to like see what the heck that is. Okay, let's try that out. Okay, so I have a fruit array. I've converted it into a string. Even though it's an array, I've converted it into a string. It's going to look something like this. Let's go and refresh. There we go. That's it still looks like an array. The format is still an array format, but it's a string. It's actually a string. So you can't do because it's a string, you can't do if you do like fruit string 0 or something, you're going to get back the bracket. Does that make sense? So you're not actually, this is not an array anymore. I know it looks like an array, but it's actually not an array. So you can do that, and then what you would do is you can save that piece of string, right? Set item. You could save this string like this. So I'm saving a string now, and if I refresh now, look at my application here. Blew it up too much. There you go. My fruits. Again, this looks like an array, but it's not. It's a string with square brackets, like it's part of the string. So the entire data type is a string. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? So you can't save objects. The only thing, again, the only data type you can save in local storage is a string. So you can't save like an object. You can't save like all this information. You can't save arrays. So like one way to kind of go around it, it's not really going around it, but kind of going around it is we can make my array into a string and then save that string in my local storage. And then you might wonder, okay, then how do I like actually display my, so once it's stored as a string, as you can see, how do I convert this back into an array so I could actually show it in my fruits? Like, how do I do the conversion back? That's when JSON parse comes in handy, so this is the last thing we'll do here. So let's go ahead and do this, query selector, fruit button. So when I click on display fruits, it's going to run a function here. Okay. We're going to retrieve let fruits equals json.parse. Okay. Log that out. Okay, if I refresh, okay, I'll click. So if I click display fruits, take a look at that. So my, take a look at how even on the console it looks different. So I had a string, I've converted it back into an array now that I have an array here. Great. Now all these have indexes, so this is an array now. So now that I have this back, now I can do whatever I want with it. I could run maybe like a for loop or something. Let's run a for loop real quick, and then, like fruits.length. Fruits display is going to be the little div right below it, and that's if I do inner HTML, and it's going to keep adding to it, fruits I or something. There we go, apple, orange, kiwi. So now that it's an array, I can easily iterate through them, go one at a time, and then display it using inner HTML or create a list, create elements or whatever. All right, just to recap what the heck I just did here, I just want to show you that you can also technically, if you want to store a list of something and an object or something like that, you technically can. You're gonna have to use json.stringify to convert it into a string. And then once you have a string, you can store any strings in your set item. Your local storage can store any strings you'd like. And then once you've set your string, once you set a string, later on when you want to actually go grab it, go get it again, get item, you can convert that string back into an array, like an actual array that JavaScript can use by using JSON parse. We've seen JSON parse already with our API stuff. And then after we get it, then we can like use a for loop and iterate it through it or whatever you like, the typical things you do with JavaScript. Okay, so these two methods are pretty handy. All right, any questions about that? Yeah.
So what's like the storage limit of the local storage?
There's actually the limit is your computer storage.
Wait, can that be abused?
It's totally can be abused. So, but yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So like any website could store like a couple gigabytes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear local storage. I gotta read. There might be some browser restrictions, like depending on what browser you use. Like I think Safari probably will give you a little warning or something. But yeah, I feel like but I should actually read there might be more developments recently. Limit. There might be some. This is 2014. No, this is like so there's like when it first came out, it was like you could just store whatever, but Oh, 50% of your free disk space. Never mind, not everything, but that's still a lot. Still a lot, yeah. So they can take up 50%. If this is exceeded, there's like eviction. They start evicting your storage, but yeah. Yeah. So maybe check your web storage. Just kidding. But now and then. But honestly, though, they yeah. I mean, the only reason somebody would do that is just to mess with you. Like, there's no advantage of, you know, if you want to prank your friends, I guess. Here, open this website and then overload their. Yeah, sure. Hey, my computer just got slow. Oh, I wonder why. I don't know. Yeah, I know. That's the thing about technology. There's like, once you learn it, like, you know things, right? But yeah, I think I feel like there's yeah, there's like, I thought like there's some expiration dates coming in and they're gonna introduce stuff. But anyway, okay, that's kind of it for class. Any other questions? I'll stick around if you have any other individual questions. I'm happy to chat about it. But that's it for now. Your last assignment is assignment 7 for now until the midterm. So do try it out. Start studying for the midterm. If you have any questions, I have office hours today. Noon has office hours on Friday. So, all right, see you guys.